What does it really take to move from AI experimentation to building intelligent enterprises? Is it better models, more data, or is it something deeper? The way we architect systems, decisions, and leadership around AI? Welcome to XTraw AI, the podcast where we go beyond the buzzwords and extract the raw conversations shaping the future of enterprise technology. I'm your host, Raghu Banda, and today we're opening season 17 with a special thought leadership episode, one that sets the direction for, for where enterprise AI is truly headed. Over the past seasons, we've explored machine learning, generative AI, platforms, and automation. This season, we go further into how AI becomes part of the enterprise fabric, how leaders design for scale and trust, and how intelligence moves from isolated pilots into core business capability. To kick off season 17, I'm joined by Siddharth Dixit, a seasoned technology leader and CTO who brings together deep engineering roots, enterprise scale platform thinking, and a continuous learning mindset in artificial intelligence. In today's conversation, we'll explore what it really means to architect intelligence, not just deploy AI, but intentionally design systems, processes, and organizations that can learn, adapt, and scale responsibly. This is not a conversation about hype. It's a conversation about clarity, structure, and real world execution. Let's begin season 17 of XTraw AI.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to our Extra AI podcast series, which is where we talk with leaders across the globe on different aspects of AI. And this is another attempt in where we are starting this new thought leadership series. And this is where today I'm going to talk with a leader. And the topic, of course, like we give a kind of a name but for each of the podcasts. I call this Beyond Code and Cargo, and you'll get to know why I talk about that. And welcome on board Siddharth Dixit, or Sid. Is a CTO at iTrade Network. He's a technology leader, passionate about intelligent platforms, data ecosystems, and the transformative power of AI. Welcome on board, Sid.
Thank you. Pleasure to be on your podcast, Raghu.
Right. So let's get started. Now, before we kick the things off, Sid, I think this is how I do in our regular conversations. I know leaders like you have a remarkable journey from computer science and engineering to leading innovation in the food technology, what originally, all these kind of things. So what was that originally drew for you towards AI and enterprise transformation? Could you give a bit of a background about your journey and how you ended up being here?
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit background about me and my and you know, I think I've been attracted to computers from like very young age, like self-taught myself programming in basic, probably in fifth grade back in India.
Wow. Okay.
And I came to US to study computer science and but my career has gone to a lot of different industries, right? And AI kind of naturally started to get weaved into it 10 years back. I started my career in mobile devices, like as an embedded programmer. My first product was Motorola flip phone Razr way back then.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a number of years building mobile phones, launching mobile phones, and ended up at Google building the first Android phones, tablets, and continued my journey there. And that took me to a journey into Microsoft, where was part of leading, creating, conceptualizing the very first Surface tablets with the kickstand. If you
Mm-hmm.
know, three with a kickstand, that was my baby way back then.
Wow. Nice.
Built both hardware and software, shipped products there. And then there was yet another sharp curve change in my career. I
Mm-hmm.
ended up joining a space startup called Planet Labs.
Mhm.
And the mission was simple. Back then, 2015, satellites used to be were size of refrigerator. What if we can use the consumer electronics components and compress the size of satellite to size of a loaf, which can deliver the same performance? We can perhaps launch hundreds of them. And if we can do that, then instead of imaging the entire Earth every day, we could image it every year or every few years. We can
Mhm.
start imaging it every single day. That's what we built in that startup. We ended up building and launching 150 plus satellites in space.
Mhm.
Now, you do that for the very first time in mankind, you have answers to global warming, to crop production, to everything.
Mhm.
Or I would say you don't have answers, you have data, right?
Right.
Our
Right.
150 plus satellites were pumping close to 1.5 million images a day. And suddenly this was just too much for mankind to process.
Mhm.
Foray into AI started back then that the number of images were simply not reasonable enough for humans to live in conventional way, where an analyst will look at image A from, you know, X months ago and image B now and compare and say, hey, this is what changed, right? Now,
Mhm.
like 10 to 20 images of the same point on Earth every single day. So we had to build the very first AI systems to be able to comb through that data. Well, if you remember seeing all the images of NASA and
Mhm.
satellites, you have like these tens and twenties of scientists sitting and manning these and controlling these. Now we are a small startup and had way too much satellites, way more than all the countries combined in that year. So how do you manage them? We didn't have this army of scientists to manage them. So we built the world's first autonomous autopilot satellite software way back then. And
Mhm.
that was the second intersection with AI. So it continued on. I started my AI journey back then. Then I went on to move to Amazon. And
Mhm.
there my project was to build a robot, a home robot, which can roam around with humans and your homes and small businesses. So we go to an auto shop and say, hey, Raghu, I see you are here for your tire change. Just drop your keys in my caddy and, I have all checked you in and all good, or would you like to do brake changes, right? Kind of thing. That was my second deep intersection with AI. I ended up building AI platforms to help collect millions of data points from robotic sensors,
Mhm.
clean the data, curate the data, annotate the data, label the data, and build AI algorithms through it and deploy them while building the robot. And that expanded to support Amazon Ring cameras, Amazon Alexa devices, and other things. Um, It took me back again into a space journey. I joined this time a pretty established public company called Maxar Technologies.
Mhm.
I was there to use this data and build large AI systems which can help from defense and intelligence to commercial shipping. So we ended up building systems where we can look at thousands of images of military bases and we can start to predict the troop movements or predict the wars,
Mhm.
military exercises and things like that. And it was fun, We are
Mhm.
starting AI and AI was also starting to mature, right? And
Right. Right.
later on, I actually joined it in food service industry at iTrade Network. So iTrade Network is one of the largest provider of SaaS software which connects buyers and sellers. So if Driscoll Strawberries is selling their strawberries to Kroger, so they will typically use our software to ship it and sell it, and Kroger will use it to buy it. And we have thousands of customers like this. I
Mhm.
mean, I tell people if you have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, we probably help ship one, if not all of those in a given day. And when you ship these billions of dollars worth of fresh produce every year, you're
Mhm.
generating billions of data points. Yet again, similar problem of analyzing these millions of imagery, right?
Right.
And the most useful supply chain data. If you can apply Gen AI and all these technologies, then you can do amazing things. And that's where my current journey is. how do you use data in supply chain and food service industry to be able to create products which can solve problems. And what kind of problems, right? I mean, to give you an example, like 38% of the food in US is wasted in supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
either in transit or sitting in refrigerators in restaurants or homes. Now, if you can improve the time it takes to ship it even by a day, it is going to, feed millions of more people with the same amount of food, right?
Right.
Or if you can optimize what it takes manual effort to ship it,
Mm-hmm.
hey, perhaps we can help reduce the cost of grocery at the grocery store, right? So
Right.
it's a very, humbling initiative for me to do something meaningful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great journey, Sid. I know you've been across different things. I believe the light bulb moment was like getting into the space technology, the satellites, and then processing these millions of images, then got into Amazon and these. So this is where you started getting more and more into AI and robotics. And now I know your common point is always like working on the data, bringing all these data points and working in the ecosystem of data. So this is where I know, well, now that you got into this food service industry and you've been now trying to use your expertise or your leadership in that, what excites you most about this intersection of AI, data, and sustainability? I know we talk sustainability was one of the key topics in the past that we used to talk a lot, but I know now that AI is also getting in there. So what is that excites you most when you talk a bit about? Can you talk a bit about this
Yeah.
before we get into our real conversation?
So I think I'll take a couple of angles to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
First is this is I would say, a very humble and noble industry in a sense, right?
Right.
Our mission and industry mission is to feed the world or feed the people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts with the farm. It starts with the right seed selection, right crop selection, to producing it, to selling it at the right price, to shipping it, finding the buyers, to selling the buyers, to move it fast, to get it to distribution centers all the way into the stores, right? And not just grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
You eat. So there's another supply chain running into restaurants. We eat at airports and universities and hospital cafeterias, and I think these are all the areas we serve. What excites me is there's two or three big problems here, right? Number one problem is food waste, right? Like 38% food gets waste. So if you can optimize it, you're really contributing to sustainability of our Mother Earth, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have less pressure on Mother Earth to produce, I mean, it's almost like close to 40% of the food gets wasted, right?
Right.
And this is just a US problem, it's a much worse problem in some other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You can feed a lot more people or feed everyone with a lot more sustainable way, right? Lot less use of fertilizers and if you can optimize the supply chain. So I think AI directly helps there. Like if you can help make decisions to when you harvest it, right? What's the optimal day? If you can use AI to exactly forecast the demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not more, not less, you then exactly harvest that amount. You take AI to negotiate, communicate between buyers and sellers, right?
Mm-hmm.
You automate a lot of these things. So that's one. The second big problem in this industry is this is largely a manual industry, right? The automation is still not done, and some parts may not happen, but still you have to punch in POs. You still have to pick up phone calls, emails, or use a software to send message to buyers and negotiate the prices. And that takes a lot of manual labor, but
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, there's labor shortages, right? And there are inefficiencies and inaccuracies, and all that adds to the speed of it, right? And I mean, you have all heard, right? Like there
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
restaurants, right? Or in food industry, right? So AI can play a crucial role in bridging that gap. What it means is you can have more hospitals being served, more universities being served, more choices in grocery store, or more choices in an airport setting, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the fourth and the most important is the cost, right? We all
Yes. Yeah.
feel the effect of whether it's because of tariffs or not, but since pandemic, I mean, there has been rising costs, right?
Mm.
Costs are a complex ecosystem of, you know, human manual labor cost, trucking cost, and all of these things amplified, and then all the operations costs. And AI can play a very crucial role, right?
Mhm.
Not only can automate things, but it brings price transparency, it brings market transparency, it can tell people what are the best regions to buy from, it or the best regions to plant the crops on, right? It's advancing to a point where you can, hey, this place is going to have a bad weather 3 months down the line, or it may have a unusually cold winter or warm winter. So you may want to plant or you may not want to plant strawberries there, right? And with that insight, you positively impact the entire ecosystem. And my sincere hope is, right, it adds to being a lesser bill for everyone, at the grocery store.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think you put it in the right. You hit the nail on the head. I think these four different points and how it is now at the intersection of AI and data and sustainability, how you can help and how you can optimize all this. Let me now get into the actual changing landscape of AI in these enterprises, right? I think this is where I know you have seen the technology evolve from various different traditional enterprise softwares to these AI driven ecosystems. So, as a CTO, as a chief technology officer, how do you see this shift? How is it redefining these industries, or what do you see the role of the CTO in this newer AI driven enterprises?
Great question, Raghu. Love it. And I think the two ways to think about it, right?
Right.
First, we have to reimagine our business both internally and externally as AI. And I think as a technologist, there's no better time to live right now than at the junction of this AI revolution we are witnessing. So for us, as an internal reimagine, I think this fantastic time. We have so many tools to evolve our technology, progress our technology, build faster. So let me give you some examples. Number one, there's humongous learning tools, right? And
Mhm.
me personally, I have learned a lot more in last 6 months than I have learned in last 3 years, right? As an individual, right? Too.
Mhm.
But that's a shared journey with my team, and we are all part of it and learning new things, new technologies, and AI is helping us, right, in that very fast. Second is as engineers and engineering leaders and product leaders, we build things. And now we have generative AI tools from cursors to other things which help you write code at speed of light. In fact, at iTrade Network, we have built our own AI coding system which called Harvey,
Mhm.
which which helps you write AI, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The way to think about it is we built a system of agents, starting with an orchestrator agent and a digital twin of a lot of different other functions, right? So we have a product manager agent, system architect agent, um, coding agent, QA agent, and security agent and DevOps agent. Now, when we orchestrate these, it helps us write requirements faster. It helps us do system architecture faster. It helps us code, test that code, make that code really secure, and deploy it fast. So we are able to delight our customers much more quicker. So customer sends a bug, what might take a month to or few months to resolve. I mean, we are hoping to resolve it in hours and days as opposed to weeks and months before, right?
Right. Mm.
That allows us to build a lot more capabilities, such as agents, right, which can help automate this journey.
Right.
So that's the internal side of things, right? The external side of things is we are a SaaS software, and SaaS softwares are like, think about system of record.
Mhm.
me, our system of record is Gmail or email, a
Mhm.
PowerPoint, uh, Google Meet or Zoom or something, and ChatGPT, right? This
Mhm.
is log in and do our work. For our customers, I create softwares like Order Management System, Order Maestro, and other products. Our system of record, they log in and do their product.
Mhm.
But now, for SaaS companies, they have an opportunity to go from just system of record SaaS to system of intelligence, which helps them make better decisions, and system of automation, which helps them automate a lot of routine manual tasks. So let me give you an example, right?
Mhm.
Hey, um, we are working on a product to provide cost index.
Mhm.
Currently, if our buyers and sellers want to do business, they have to rely on USDA published prices. So, yeah, how much are the tomatoes selling, right? They're selling for X dollars, right?
Mhm.
Per, per Y dollars per case. And that data could be few days old because, hey, USDA had to reach out to hundreds and thousands of buyers and sellers to collect that data. Now, with using AI, we have an opportunity to see these transactions, harvest intelligence, and help our customers access it. So they can know, like, hey, maybe I need to buy tomatoes at this price, or I need to sell tomatoes at this price. And it helps both from a small farmer to a big company to keep the prices low, right? And we are building products, what we call a system of intelligence, right? It provides our customers insight as where do I pick my loads from? Where do I buy from? Which region is best for this week, this month? All of that good stuff to avoid spoilage. Or how do I make the most optimal loads, like by, you can't put strawberries and onions together, right? But how can I
Mhm.
optimize it? So my truck is like 90% full as opposed to 50% full. And my sincere hope is that cost savings ultimately land up with the end customer, right?
Right. Right.
This is the next layer of innovation. And the final layer is system of automation.
Mhm.
So we want to be able to build tools to be able to assist, right? Just
Mhm.
like engineers have cursors, why not give something similar for our customers, right? Like where they can automate their routine task or they can have agents to do their things. And that layer is beautiful. I'll give you an example. So,
Mhm.
hey, you go to your local Safeway or Kroger or Albertson or any of the grocery stores. The grocery store manager there wants to have local produce. You want to buy local produce.
Right. Right.
You have this small farmer, right, which
Mhm.
is like not so much, right? It's really costly for them to buy SaaS software and do this, right? And I mean, they probably can do business over email and phone call, but that's very difficult for large companies, right?
Yeah.
That's where we are building things like agents, which can sit in between. A farmer simply uses an email to interact and sell their product. And for the big company, they get that data into their ERP or our iTrade SaaS software. So building AI agents to translate that layer and interaction of creating a purchase order, acknowledging a purchase order, sending a shipment, acknowledging a shipment, takes the load away. So what finally the beautiful thing happens is, hey, you end up finding that bread which everyone raves about in the farmers market. Now you can
Mhm.
buy it at your local grocery store all week long instead of just one day in a farmers market. And for that farmer, he's a low tech way without changing how he or she does business. They can actually sell it to much larger person. So that's the kind of AI driven agentic opportunity we have in our industry. And
Mhm.
that excites me a lot.
Right. Beautiful. I think you have answered not only my question about how the role of a CTO is being redefined, but how you're even handling it with iTrade Network. Really appreciate that. I think, and beautiful way of, I think you give a couple of examples. I know this is where how things are getting implementations, AI implementations can go at scale, right? So now taking this further, as you look ahead, what are some of these AI advancements you believe will impact the enterprises most? I wouldn't say 3 to 5 years because things are changing at a faster pace. Maybe the next 1 to 3 years. How do you see things are happening here?
I think, and I will base this answer not just on supply chain industry, but just in general in advances, right? So I
Mhm.
think a couple of things to look at, Raghu, right? Like, let's break it down into number of segments, right? What are the major things we do, right? How do we live? How do we work? How do we eat? How do we move, right?
Mm.
I think, how do we move? Like autonomous driving is pretty not new anymore, right? But I
Mhm.
think we're getting to a point where it will be considered irresponsible in near future to not use autopilot because it might be so much safer, right? Again, we are far away from it, but it's not a decade away, it's a few years away, right?
Mhm.
Which we will move much more faster, much more further, right? Um, Second, we're going to be able to use agents and things to automate a lot of things at work and home and otherwise, right? Which means the role of humans is will keep climbing up on the ladder of innovation and creative thinking, right?
Mhm.
And authenticity, right? It's much more easier to do business, to create products, create services, right? And again, nothing to be afraid of, right? This has happened time again in the industry. A lot of humans used to be farmers, and this was a pretty rapid change to go to industrialized society. When that role changed, actually, more people had jobs, better living conditions. Then came internet, then came cloud, and the journey continued. Third is, I think we're going to see pretty solid advancements in longevity, right, and health, right, which
Mhm.
means people are going to live longer, eat healthier, be informed, and a lot of disease is going to be cured. And this is because the cost of drug discovery using generative AI will come down, analyzing health, access to health, like everyone can have a pocket doctor, right?
Mhm.
And my wish thought there is, which means like not any doctor, like personalized doctor, which knows my stuff, my things, right? The way people educate is going to change rapidly too, right? Like no
Mhm.
longer like this straight line is, I'm into doctor, I'm into medicine, I'm into arts, I'm into economics, right? It's people are going to have multifunctional, multi-talented up things. And I think it looks a bit challenging for the young people who are just coming out of the workforce.
Right.
Most phenomenal opportunity, right? I mean, we are at a point where the pie is growing, but the transformation is still taking some time, right? So people's careers are going to be
Mhm.
different. How does this transform into an enterprise? Uh,
Right. Right. That's a big question. Yep. Yeah.
and which companies do well, which companies don't do well, which companies do better? I think a couple of things, right? So the companies which know their customers and have customer intimacy and understand them deeply, they will do better. So
Mm.
it's no longer like just code is going to be cheap. Anybody can build a service.
Mm.
The question is how well do you know your customers? How intimately do you know your customers? So you're one step ahead of their needs. You're innovating on behalf of your customers. You're not just innovating. How are you solving their pain points and unmet needs? And some of them, which they don't even know, but they're going to encounter, right?
Mhm.
So that's one thing is going to be important. Second is data, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
this you've something heard again and again, but software is not the mode. Speed is no longer the mode. Data still is a mode. If you do generate
Yeah. Yeah.
data which you can feed back to improve your AI on a continuous basis, that's going to be mode. Third is the cost of AI or generative AI models is going to come down a lot,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Down by 100x is expected to come down by another 10x. What does it mean? I think my personal opinion, yes, the foundational model companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini, they have a huge advantage. But the amount of value created is going not necessarily be owned by these companies. It's going to be owned by these hundreds of thousands of people who are going to innovate and create new
Right.
things.
Right.
And I think that is to be encouraged. I'll tell you some of my experiment, right?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Did this software development agent called Harvey inside it,
Yeah.
which somebody called. even if they have no background in coding.
Mhm.
Come internally inside my company, and we have 150 people go through that coding boot camp. Half were technical, half were not.
Mhm.
And the result was even the people who were not technical, they were deploying apps left and right.
Right.
Uh, Somebody who's in finance function created an apps for rewarding and recognizing people and deployed it into the cloud.
Mhm.
Somebody who is into the sales function created an software which will route the sales streets, right? Somebody who's in executive management function created an app to manage her workflow. And this is beautiful, right?
Right. Right.
Suddenly we have given the power of creation
Mhm.
hands of the people. And I think you will see this explode.
True. True.
The way this is going to explode is going to put humans on a exponential growth trajectory, right?
Mhm.
Still in the world soon is going to be able to create a lot more, and they will, and people will create. Which means for the enterprises, they really have to deepen their moat, deepen their customer intimacy, deepen their pace of innovation. They have to be 5 steps ahead, right?
Mhm.
Your could be a big company, a big marketing platform, and your competition can come from a solopreneur, right?
Right.
Going to challenge you. So I think that's something has to evolve, right?
True, true. I think very well said. I think I would like to pivot a bit into the supply chain network aspect of iTrade network and what you guys are doing there, right? I think now when you look at the global ecosystem of these growers, distributors, and retailers, uh, I know these overall the food and beverage industries, the supply chains here are very complex, very fragmented, right? So where does AI create the most meaningful impact when you look at these different aspects of the growers, the distributors, the retailers, and how is uh, iTrade network helping in this aspect? Could you talk a bit about that?
So let me ask you a question, Raghu.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the last time you bought something from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 months, it broke down, and you have to communicate with the customer support. How
Mm.
did you do that? How did you resolve that problem? How many iterations? What did you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had to, if something broken, I think I can't go back to Amazon. I had to find out the product label or the product where I bought it. I had to do a bit of it's a bit of a hassle to go and see, or I had to go and buy something.
What you do, either you make a phone call or you do email, right? My
Yeah,
son bought a bike,
yeah,
got broken, and I'm doing like I'm at the 10th email back and forth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, in supply chain industry, this is actually a norm. You believe it or not, 40% of the supply chain still happens in forms of emails, faxes, phone
Right,
calls, right?
right, right.
Uh, and and it takes a lot of manual labor. It causes inaccuracies. It increases the cost of doing business, compliance, and all those things, right? Insurance.
Hmm.
And one of the interesting use cases we have stumbled and we are building is create agents to be able for people to interact, to buy and sell, right?
Mm, mm,
And bring this like half of the industry, which is not even on our SaaS software, or as a matter of fact, as any other SaaS software, starting to be digitally connected in an automated way, not just digitally connected in a sporadic way of emails, which is still like 2001, right?
mhm.
So that's one aspect, right? The second aspect is think about personas in supply chain, right? Let's say you're a garment manufacturer or produce manufacturer or produce buyer or garment buyer, right? Let's say you're a buyer at Walmart, right?
Mhm.
And you are wanting to say, hey, I want to buy, uh, I don't know, like just say notebooks, right?
Right,
And
right.
like vanilla notebooks, let's call it that way.
Mhm.
And you're for Pacific Northwest region, right? You have 400 Walmarts in there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? Like how do you order that, right? I mean, you first tally your systems
Mm-hmm.
out, run your Excel sheet, and say forecast. This is how much I want to forecast, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That could be a forecasting agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you forecast is like, hey, what do I want to buy? Where do I buy it from? So you do price queries. You send out emails and you ask, what's your price for this kind of notebooks, right?
Price
Like
comparison. Mm-hmm.
that's like request for quotation, right?
Right. Good question. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you send out 10 emails and you get five back immediately and say, I can give you this. And you're like, hey, I like these guys, but I want to negotiate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Negotiation agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and once you do negotiate, you want to say, I want to do PO. Well, you're a stationary category buyer. You have hundreds of items. You punch in those orders to create those POs, right? Then you get a delivery, acknowledge and you send payments. That's all agents. If
Yeah.
you connect all of them together, that's a buyer's digital assistant. Now, if you can do that, then that buyer can do a lot more things, bring things which are best in the class, bring the best prices to the customers, right? And for every role, every persona, there is an opportunity to create a digital assistant. Why not give a chat GPT? Why not give a cursor? Why not give an agent? For every human in the industry, then which enables them to amplify their impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And grow and contribute. So that's, I think that's an opportunity. Also to recognize, obviously, there's a downside of it, right? As things
True.
become efficient, there is a human concern, which is very valid. And I think the way I see this is um, it depends on the pace of change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time we went from this change where we went from um, agricultural society to or non-hunting society to agriculture society to metals and uh, where we can move on cars to be able to industrialize society to be able to build steam engines to the change is tough. So
Right. Yeah.
we have to do it gradually. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do it. We have to do it very sensibly, and we have to grow people along with it. So the pie is bigger and it's growing at the same pace or larger pace of pie of opportunities for
Mm-hmm.
people to be able to, do things they aspire to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I think I like the way you have explained this and also kind of brought this intelligent supply chain assistant, or how do you work with all these agents and how this comes in the bigger scheme of things and help the enterprises. I know we are having a wonderful, fascinating conversation. I know we are getting to close to the end of the conversation. Before I get there, I want to ask one. I call this the extra AI question, the $1 million or the $1 billion question. I know there is a lot of competition out there in these supply chain markets and all. How does iTrade network differentiate itself in a world where AI is becoming a buzzword for every tech company? So how do you see things, or is there some kind of an uniqueness, or if you want to explain that, it would be.
I think for us, AI is not a strategy,
Mm-hmm.
a tool to deploy our strategy. And our strategy is simple. We want to feed the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we think we differentiate is by our customer intimacy, our
Okay.
ability to understand the unique problems.
Mm-hmm.
Telling you about the nuances, right? Don't ship onions and strawberries together.
Right.
But there are millions and of or thousands of millions of such nuances in the industry. And we pride ourselves in knowing our customers intimately, understanding their pain points, understanding their unmet needs, and then decide whether you have to use a conventional tool or an AI to solve that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we we don't do AI for the sake of AI. It's a small strategy. It's an enabler. How do we delight our customers faster, quicker, better, cheaper approach, right? And that's, I think, as far as differentiation, we want to keep that customer intimacy. And I want to give you an example. What does it mean for me,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
First, it means standing in the shoes of the customers. For it does means, visiting their farms and understanding and going to the fields and understanding the problems, or going to warehouses or talking to them and understand what do you want to do? What are your most pressing problems? How can we help? How could we help improve it, right? And then bring AI into the thing which can solve the problems which were not solvable in past.
mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. I love the way you have put together that. I would want to get a bit into the personal side of the story that you've talked about. I know you come from this. You've been again continuously learning or pursuing AI related aspects, or I believe you're doing some learning despite your leadership demands. What advice would you give to young professionals or students who are interested in entering these kind of AI driven industries? What do you what's your advice?
I think so. I'm figuring this out, but I'll share with what you have figured
Sure,
out.
sure,
Right?
sure.
The world is going to change at a faster and faster pace. And
Mhm,
we are seeing this in front of it, but it's only going to increase, which, by the way, is fantastic. We are living in the age of exponential growth curve of humans as a society. It won't last forever, but it's going to last 200, 300 years, which will
mhm,
be progress, right? And if you think about it, the only constant thing is change. And if only constant thing is change, then adaptability, having a grit, and leadership principles is important. What do I mean by leadership principles? So, bringing in ownership, bias for action, deliver results, earn trust, and customer obsession kind of things. Not just in your work life, but in your personal life, right? And learning, learn and be curious, right? I'll tell you how I practice learn and be curious. I mean, I try to find the why behind why. I try to learn things. A couple of months back, I took a boot camp from SnapDev.
mhm.
Uh, the boot camp was, how to build a product in 2.5 weeks, right? And fantastic. I mean, I went from somebody who would try to find time to code and codes, like still couldn't do. Somebody who can still have a day job and be able to pump out 20,000 lines of code a week, and build things, right? And a lot of things, right? I did recently a boot camp from Maven called Agent First AI Approach by Aishwarya and Kirti Badam. And it was fantastic course, right? Hands-on learning how to build agents, right?
Right, right.
I think I kind of learn a lot more by doing these boot camps than I might sometimes learn in a semester of a structured course, which has its own value because it's trying to take me into the depth of why and the science behind the AI. And that's why I'm doing it, right? So I think learn and be very active and being very hands-on is something which I would advise, and keep a curious mindset, keep reinventing yourself, have a grit, and and I mean, my career may look successful from outside. It is probably successful in regards, and I feel that. But it's also a lot of failures, Raghu. I mean, there are tons and tons of failures, right?
Mm, mm.
Every step, and I think I believe in this part of journey, right? It you keep failing, keep learning, and keep growing.
Great. I think great piece of advice. Said I think before this is a great conversation I'm having with you. Before I let you go, I think one last question. I I don't know how to put this one, but I know it's a hard question. If you would like to make one prediction 5 years from now for 2030, how does AI powered enterprises might look like? What are your thoughts?
So I'm very passionate about space, Raghu. So I'll take an
Yeah.
example from
Okay.
it, right? I think we are in this phase where AI is writing software. We all know this, right?
Mm.
I think it's less uncommon how AI is going to write hardware.
True. True.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen in a year or 2 or 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to happen in some ways, but whether you design an iPhone to a water jet to a quantum computer, it's a lot of mechanical parts, electrical parts, components, physical things, right? And I think the generative hardware AI is coming around the corner. But that is going to have a lot more profound impact than what generative AI has been in software. And the reason is simple. Every AI lives in a form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our AI learns on a cloud, on a computer, or things, right? But once you have AI, which starts making a better computer, a
Mm-hmm.
better computer, a better medicine, a better spacecraft, AI
Mm-hmm.
starts writing small spacecraft components which are assembled to build a spacecraft which can take you to beyond Mars, um, making a spacefaring capabilities. That's going to happen, and that's going to happen rapidly. And I think if I were to take a bet on 5 years, we will have a lot more advanced hardware, a lot more advanced software, a lot more advanced products, which will start to form a you know positive cycle or flywheel effect, which will help propel mankind. So maybe let me give you a different dimension of it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we are at a phase where everyone is like, is this good? Is this bad? Is AI
Mm-hmm.
working out good, bad? What are the downsides? How will it impact society? If you think whatever we see in the world, every building, every railroad, every factory,
Mm-hmm.
somebody has created it. And
True.
economics call it the total output of the world as total factor productivity of mankind. And it has two factors, right? One is number of people,
Mm-hmm.
working people, multiplied the productivity of their tools. Now, for the very first time in mankind, we have a disproportionately large lever or the tool to improve ourselves. So it took maybe humans 10,000 years to create, if I were to call in economic terms, to
Mm-hmm.
create a $10 billion worth of wealth collectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it took another 100 years to take 100, 200 years, 300 years to um, take it to 100, 100 trillion, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100 trillion to current 500 trillion, it take another like this 20th century kind of, right? Um, I think this wealth, which I'm putting in economic number, is a reflection of our creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our innovation, our advances in education and space and medical sciences. I think next 5 years, this is going to be a, a factor of 10. And if you imagine that world, that's going to be a world of plenty. Population is not going to grow that fast, right? Which means everyone have more resources, more opportunities. Yes, this could be an unequal distribution, and so we have to watch for it. We have to be
Right.
more
Right.
ethical. But I think it's going to be a beautiful world. We
True.
find a tool which is the most productive tool as compared to fire, wheel, electricity, steam, internet, and cloud.
Beautiful. I think I love the way you put it. Thanks for your time, Sid. I think it was an insightful discussion, insightful conversation with you.
Very much. Pleasure talking to you, Raghu, and thanks for having me here.
As we wrap up today's conversation, one thing becomes clear. The future of enterprise AI isn't about chasing the latest model or trend. It's about intentional design. It's about architecting intelligence across systems, processes, and people. And it's about leaders who can bridge deep technology with real business impact. My thanks to Siddharth Dixit for joining us today and for sharing insights that challenge us to think beyond experimentation and towards sustainable, enterprise-grade AI. This episode marks the beginning of Season 17 of XTraw AI, a season dedicated to thought leadership, real-world experience, and conversations that move AI from concept to capability. In the coming episodes, we'll be speaking with enterprise leaders, architects, innovators, and practitioners who are shaping how AI is embedded into the fabric of modern organizations, responsibly, at scale, and with purpose. If you found value in today's discussion, make sure to subscribe, share, and join the conversation. You can find more episodes, insights, and resources on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Until next time, keep questioning the hype, keep building with intention, and keep extracting the raw intelligence that shapes the future. Happy predicting the future with AI technologies, and stay XTraw